Yeah, I do think that was Richard's story. Yeah, I mean that story opens up like the day after Punos Sagrados because of the whole
Mm.
action that happens there. Which I mean, this is spoiler talk, so I guess we could talk about it. But where the boxer kills the singer in the ring, and they're like, "Yeah, we're done with that ring shit. We're tearing it all down. Shit went crazy, and we can't
Yeah.
have that here in this bar." So,
So let's talk about that for a minute. That was that was kind of a surprising end. I liked it because he basically made her get in the ring and just beat the shit out of her for taking his prize money. But didn't he tell her that he was going to give her the prize money? Or
so
he said he could.
yeah, he said he could give her the prize money, and then then that Sal guy was like, "Listen, don't do that shit. If you don't throw this fight, yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, like we're gonna own her and make her do all kinds of shit."
Right.
But then, yeah, she takes off the prize money and he's pissed off. I think ultimately what happened in that story is that he kind of came to his senses. He has they ever established, was that his wife? I don't even know if they ever established if that was just his girlfriend, the mother of his child, or if that was his wife. But
Wife, yeah.
I think ultimately he came to his senses and said, I really want to take care of her, because he had that idea of her going to get help at that kind
Right.
of clinic out in the middle of nowhere and stuff. So I think that ultimately he was really pissed about that. And I'm guessing what plays out there is that he didn't throw the fight. Sal now owns him.
Yep. But he lost the prize money, so he can't help his wife.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
he goes after
He punches the shit out of those frail little girl.
yeah, whatever. She had it coming. She was playing him the whole time.
Some frail little girl steals 50 grand from me. I'm going to punch the shit out of her, too.
There you go. You heard it here, folks.
Watch out, frail little girls.
Yeah, but Richards Thomas introduces us to the protagonist from Ghost Town, in that he meets him and has known him for a while. The guy who's looking for his daughter. Ties together the juice thing, which is prevalent in all of the stories as a catalyst for different things and as one of the main favors other than organs. This guy fucking is the reason juice exists. That's a pretty interesting concept. I am the guy who produces the drug inadvertently from my own body.
But I have a problem with that.
Which
how can you be the source of the main drug in a city and still be some low down guy who gets shit on and stuff like that? If you were the source of that drug, you should be like a boss, a big guy, a big up.
Well, would you though? Because just because he produces it doesn't mean that he can refine it or has the means to process it and distribute it.
He fucking took it. He took a dropper of it and put a couple drops in a bottle of vodka, and then that bottle was juice. So it's not like it's a difficult process.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I didn't think about it that way. I also didn't get the feeling though with that guy that he was really that unhappy with what I think towards the end of his life he was, but I think I got the feeling he was kind of content with what he was doing up until the part where he was fed up with doing it.
I mean, and here's the other problem I have with that story is he was just a straight up piece of shit the whole time. Right?
Really? No, see, I didn't get that.
You didn't get that?
No, I mean if you mean he was part of the criminal element, yeah, he helped out with the whorehouse and stuff, but when the whores were getting hurt, he went out there and fucked everybody up, and he was very protective of.
They were getting hurt at his rave party. Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
He's
yeah,
the guy that organized that.
But that's just like saying that the madam of a whorehouse is a piece of shit.
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying that's.
You're whoring people
citizen, but yeah, I guess I take the part of, all right, when you have the pimp that forces women into doing that, that's fine. I think this is women who are prostitutes, and this was just a place they could work and probably work because of the exclusive clientele, that it was maybe a little higher end than just hooking in the red light district, on the corner.
Yeah, all right, but then there was the whole story with his wife and getting hooked on heroin, and he essentially just gave up and let her die, right? There was that.
Well, yeah.
So that's not cool, but he blamed her, and then he had several opportunities to do something about his daughter getting into trouble, and didn't do anything about it. Just let her keep making mistakes and stuff like that. I didn't see it as really a redemption story. I saw it as this guy's a piece of shit who just decided, I'm going to take what's coming to me.
Oh, I don't think it's a redemption story at all. I think that he tried to negotiate towards the end, kind of a better life for his. I didn't think of it as a redemption story at all. I didn't really think of it as a how do I say this? I didn't see the story as like proceeding to a character developed end. It was more just like a snapshot of this guy at the end of his life, kind of reflecting on some of the things and then doing, whatever, I guess the best he could with what he had. But yeah, no, I'm not saying the guy's a hero. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he was like a piece of garbage. You know what I'm saying?
So we weren't expecting a change in this character, is what you're saying? Because
no,
I thought it was billing itself as like, this is the guy who's seeing all the shit that he did wrong, and now he wants to come to terms with it. That's kind of how I felt when I was reading it, but I just didn't feel that from the character.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
All right, hey. It does. All right, Richard, I'll give him credit in this one. Is, like I said before, probably the weirdest and most depraved stuff happens here. There's some stuff that's like, it definitely puts you in an uncomfortable place because it's talking about, sex trade stuff, rape, things like that, and lots of murder and body parts and disposing and stuff like that. As far as I guess you could say action. As far as the action of the book, I think his was the grittiest and like the hardest hitting for sure.
Dude, the package shows up and it's just a big ass bag with like hundreds of fingers in it.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Just.
Yeah.
And then even like the story with the I guess she was like the former madam, the woman that he goes to visit. Like
that was cool.
Yeah, there was
Ruby.
there was some good stuff there, But yeah, I didn't think that character was heading anywhere good.
Okay. Okay, so I misinterpreted the whole like redemption story thing. Did you catch Chicago references in the book?
Oh, the L.
The L, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's probably an L in another city somewhere, right? The L is not exclusive to just Chicago, I don't think.
But that wasn't the only thing.
What was the other thing?
The bookstore he goes to, Myopic?
I saw the name and it sounded very familiar, but I didn't realize that now that you say it, it makes sense. I didn't realize where I recognized that name from.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though this is an unnamed kind of city, Richard... In typical Richard format, this is one of the things he writes very passionately about the city of Chicago. He managed to slip in some like hometown treats in there for us.
I wonder if people would know what the L is if you don't live in a city where it's referred to as the L. Like if in like LA they have any idea what the L is.
I think since to some degree in New York they say L, not as much as Chicago because that's our entire system, but they say L for like the elevated parts of the train. I think it's a pretty common, at least American, term. Because 2 of the biggest cities in the country have L trains.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Final story, man. Ghost Town. Oh, Ghost Town. I got a little teary-eyed reading Ghost Town.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Don't get me wrong. Nick's story affected me very emotionally too, because there's this guy and he's dealing with these things. He's doing the best he can, living this shitty life. But fucking Axel, man, holy shit.
Yeah, Axel. He did a great job of. So like, in the stories that preceded it, Richard had a lot of gritty, fighty, murdery things going on, and Nick had the fighter and the organized crime and all this, and like this one was from the perspective of someone who was so trying to be removed from the life of crime. He was just your ordinary everyday guy who got sick of not making any progress looking for his kid, right? And so he decides to step up his approach in a fucking crazy fashion when like some new information drops. And so it's not criminals in a crime situation. It's this guy who just wants his kid back. So I think that's what's so powerful about Axel's story is like, it's an outsider criminal in just a fucked up situation.
Yeah. And there are so many elements. There's like that whole passage where he's talking about like knowing his daughter by like the scar on her knee. Like, holy shit, man. Like there's just some, oh God, I don't know. Like I'm sitting in my car. I finished this on lunch today, and holy shit, man! I was like, I'm getting a little bleary eyed here reading this. So
that last fucking page where he just accepts the fact that his daughter is dead, and he's asking her questions about, did they do this to you? Did you,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Do the guys taking like pictures of like dead kids so they could be remembered? Like, just
packed with like sentimentality and dread at the same time is how I feel about it.
And that's the whole thing. You really wanted that girl to be his.
Oh my God, yeah.
More than
absolutely.
anything I've wanted in a book for a long time. I wanted that to be his kid. And it wasn't. And ultimately, he finds that he can do right by this one kid when he doesn't have a chance to do right by his own.
But and fucking, because it's so bleak the whole time, like there's one kind of throwaway, it was probably 3 words where you're just like something about the girl laughing. And then it's such this dour, bad situation for her and just for him trying to find his daughter, that little like handful of words where the found girl laughs at something. It was like, that little kid laughter affected me more from a story than probably any other situation like that ever has, because it occurred in such like a dark, like it was like a little bright light in like all this darkness. It was just crazy.
Crazy good.
I think, can I say something about Caleb's story?
Sure.
First of all the stuff I've read of Caleb's, and that's actually a lot of stuff, because Stranger Will, Didn't Mean to Be Kevin, Man's a Machine in Parts, and a bunch of his short stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, was probably some of the best writing Caleb's ever done. And the end of his story was fucking it's crazy. So, like, when he's fighting the dude and he thinks the chick is dead, Mallory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he pushes him into that safe, and he knows he doesn't know the combination to it, and as the door is shutting, she starts to move, but it's too late and he can't get her out, and he knows he just like signed her death warrant. Fuck, man, that was powerful.
It was. And insofar as saying it's his best work or his best writing, I don't know that I agree with that. It's probably some of his most accessible.
Okay.
Caleb writes fucking weird, man. This was the most normal story I think I've read from him, unless you can remind me of one that's...
No.
Yeah, right? Like
no, because I'm like, well, no, Lepidopterist was... Nope, never mind.
Yeah, exactly. So this was
the story in our book was about people trading, like, rats in jars and shit like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This was by far the most normal thing that he wrote. I mean, he really toned down the fucking crazy on this one. So that might be why... you appreciated it so much. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
It just there was and this probably isn't helpful as a description, but like I felt like even from like the very beginning, it was very alive. There was a lot of energy to the story. Whereas like a lot of Caleb stuff is more you're in your mind, you get in your head about it, Yeah, this was very much active and alive. So yeah.
Anything else we want to say about this before we return back to our regularly scheduled podcast?
I think I want to apologize to Richard, because like I was saying a lot of stuff with maybe the wrong impression of what the story meant to be. So I don't want him to feel like I didn't like the story, because I thought the story was great. It was just one of those like, constant like, oh, I can't believe that shit just happened story.
Yeah, it definitely was a little gut turning, maybe at parts.
Yeah, and a step up. I felt like it was a step up from his normal level of depravity.
To step up or down,
whichever appropriate direction you would choose. But yeah, I don't want to say that. I didn't want people to think that I because I had some, I challenged it a little bit, that I didn't think it was a good story.
Thanks, Patreon subscribers. I'm sorry.
One final thought. Of all of the story names, I think his is probably actually maybe the most clever. Golden Geese. Because
you're going to have to explain to me. That's maybe the only one I don't get.
Oh, so you're going to fucking...
I missed the point. Yeah.
So, what's a golden goose?
The goose that lays the golden egg. Oh, yeah, never mind. I got it.
So now you know, because he's the guy that is the source of juice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You got me. I didn't think about it. I'm like, no. And you're like, what is it? I'm like, it's, oh, yeah. Okay.
I was thinking about it when I saw the synopsis, and I was like, way to go, Richard. That is a fucking good title, because, like, you're not going to know what it means until literally the end of the story, or maybe
until Rob explains it.
Until I. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Patreon contributors, for your continued support. Hopefully you're enjoying spoiler talk. And give us some feedback. If you do, shoot us an email, bookedpodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on the normal social media channels.
Not the abnormal ones. Just don't do that.
Not the abnormal ones. No, don't hit me up with a pin on Pinterest.
Yeah. Or we're not on the dark web, so don't go looking for us there.
Rob's not on the dark web.
Are you on the dark web?
No.
Do you have the Tor browser or whatever?
You know what? I did. Well, you remember when I replaced my hard drive a couple weeks ago? Yeah, I don't have the Tor browser anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm running my computer really light. Like, I realized there was so much of that stuff I downloaded and didn't use very often that I was looking at my installed stuff, and I was like, yeah, I have like 4 things installed, and it's pretty much, I think, the way it's going to stay for a while.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Patreon people needed to hear that.
Well, listen, they got to hear something, because if we're going to the lazy summer of podcasting, it might be a while until they hear spoiler talk.
Yeah.
So, thanks again for subscribing, and we'll see you in the fall.